Well, after a week of rain, the sky's cleared today, and tomorrow is looking like a quintessential fall day in the inland Northwest. Let's get straight to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. Thomas, first though, with these clear skies, kind of chilly out there tonight.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word quintessential too often, but it absolutely accurately describes what we got for tomorrow.
Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah, it is cool out here for tonight. When we don't have that cloud cover at night, we kind of lose that blanket, so the heat escapes from the earth very quickly. You can see on the bottom of your screen, that is the current temperature here in Spokane at 48. It was just 63 for the high today, down about 10 degrees from what it was yesterday, thanks to a cold front that moved through. But it's pretty much clear skies for tonight. Little bit of some high cloud cover, but that's not offering much of a blanket. So I think our lows will be right around 40 degrees for tonight, back up to 68 for tomorrow, but plenty of warmth as we head throughout the back half of the weekend, perhaps even the first half of next week. Our temperatures should easily be in the 70s through Tuesday of this upcoming week, but a bit of a roller coaster ride temperature-wise as we go through that first week of October and then some, so look for that in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Thomas. Before we let you go, though, we saw a lot of rain in September. Has that impacted Washington's drought at all?
Yeah, at least a little bit. Throughout the course of the summertime, we certainly saw this drought get worse and worse, basically week after week. But finally in September, we changed course from those record dry conditions. 1.35 inches of rain in September, actually more than double of what we normally pick up, nearly matched the previous 6 months combined. So we finally turned the corner in terms of the rainfall and in terms of the drought. However, we still are under an exceptional drought, but at least the coverage area went down from 38% to just 29% in the state. So certainly some improvement in that regards. It's going to take months for us to fully recover from that drought over the summertime, but the good news is that the back half of fall and the winter time is kind of our wet season. In fact, November and December is when we average the most rain and snowfall combined across the region.
You can just feel the energy. It's just, I have never seen so many excited Mariners fans in my time in this city. This is to me what I imagine it felt like in 2001 with all that.
Well, Mariners fans are excited and hopeful tonight as the M's are just 3 games away from a potential playoff spot. It might be tough to remember the last time this happened because it was all the way back in 2001, as you heard, 20 years ago. Well, tonight the Mariners are playing at home in Seattle against the Angels. Right now they are down 2-1 at the start of the 9th inning. So they went into tonight's game tied for a second wild card spot for the playoffs. Tonight at 11. KREM 2's Brenna Green will give us the full rundown of the game and what the chances are of the M's heading to the playoffs. Fingers crossed for that one. Well, if you have been to the store today, you probably have seen some changes. Washington's plastic bag ban finally went into effect. It's been a long time coming after that ban was postponed several times this past year due to the pandemic. You have a few choices when you go to the store. You can either bring your own bag or pay a small fee of 8 cents per bag to get a reusable one at the store. That's a choice a lot of people are making today. At Rosar's, if you decide to bring in your own bag, you'll get a 5-cent discount per bag. If not, you can choose between reusable plastic bags rather. Rosar's employees say today that transition is going smoothly.
It's working really well. I haven't had anybody complain or have a problem with it, other than they're surprised it actually is happening, so that's good.
Well, there is a new tax in Washington that you may not have heard about. It is called the Washington Cares Fund. The money will pay for long-term care benefits for people in our state. But starting today, though, you can opt out. We are actually the first state in the country to adopt a publicly funded long-term care program. Every employee will pay 58 cents for every $100 they earn. You can choose to opt out of the program by buying private insurance by November 1st. The program will initially pay out more than $36,000 in long-term care benefits, ranging from in-home care to nursing home care, starting in the year 2025. But once you opt out of the program, it is permanent. If you want more information on the Washington Cares Fund, just text us the word tax to 509-448-2000 and we'll send that link directly to your phone. A week after anti-mask protesters forced the Coeur d'Alene School Board to cancel a special meeting, 2 board members have announced their resignation. Board Chair Jennifer Brumley and Board Member Tambra Pickford released statements today. They did not say anything about last Friday's events or that it had anything to do with their resignations. At their next board meeting on Monday, however, the rest of the board will be asked to accept the resignations and declare vacancies in zones 3 and 4. Chair Brumley was appointed back to the board in 2018 and was selected to serve as chair this past January. Trustee Pickford was elected to the board in 2015 and then re-elected in 2019. In a statement following her resignation, Chair Brumley said, quote, "Although my term will end this December, I have decided to leave the board early to focus on professional and family priorities." In her resignation statement, Trustee Pickford said, "Regrettably, I must step down from the Board of Trustees. I no longer am able to devote the considerable amount of time that this position requires." Chair Brumley's replacement will be determined by the upcoming November 2nd election. Trustee Pickford's replacement will be a Zone 3 resident picked by the board. Today, drug maker Merck says their experimental new COVID-19 drug is an effective treatment fighting the virus. Early results showed patients who received the medication within 5 days of having COVID symptoms had about half the rate of hospitalization and deaths as patients who received the placebo pill. The study tracked about 775 adult COVID-19 patients who were considered higher risk for severe disease due to underlying conditions. In a press conference today, Providence Sacred Heart Chief Medical Officer says despite the possible pill, people should still get vaccinated.
We see these things come out on occasion, and I'm hopeful this is, kind of the magic bullet for taking care of this disease. But also I want to remind people that as we have these experimental things coming out, we now have a very safe, incredibly effective number of vaccines that are readily available. And all of those vaccines are much more effective at preventing severe disease and hospitalization than these pills that come out to take care of you after you've acquired the disease. So prevention always beats treatment.
Today it was revealed that Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh tested positive for COVID-19. It's considered a breakthrough case since Kavanaugh has been fully vaccinated since January. Kavanaugh currently has no symptoms, he said. He tested positive before the court's new term was set to start on Monday. It would be the first time the Supreme Court will hear cases in person in more than 18 months due to the pandemic. California announced today all students 12 and up must get vaccinated for COVID-19 once the vaccine gains final approval from the FDA. The plan will be one of the country's first coronavirus vaccination mandates for school children. California Governor Gavin Newsom said they expect staff to follow a similar requirement that is already in place. American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, and JetBlue are now requiring their employees to be fully vaccinated. This includes pilots, flight attendants, and baggage handlers. American Airlines CEO said they are still working out all the details of the new requirement, but said, quote, "It is clear that team members who choose to remain unvaccinated will not be able to work at American Airlines," unquote. The pilots union for the company estimates that 30% of American Airlines pilots are still unvaccinated. And now for a story you'll only see on KREM 2. A young Washington couple still recovering more than a year after being horribly burned in the Cold Springs wildfire in Okanogan County. Jake and Jamie Hyland both suffered massive burns on much of their bodies after the flames overtook them while they tried to run away. And they lost their 1-year-old son and their unborn baby. It happened last Labor Day weekend. And now KREM 2 is the only local TV station to sit down with them for an in-person one-on-one interview.
I look up and I see a piece of ash and there's just this orange hue.
We had 3 different options. We could try and hide in the Quonset hut, but we thought we'll probably turn into toast in there. We could try and go back up the road, but that was really the direction the fire was coming from. So we decided not to do that. The third option was to try and get to the river. When the fire first came, I'm looking at it, it's right there. And it was I thought we were going to make it to the river. I didn't think everything was going to end like this.
When it touched me, when that moment happened, I mean, it's like time stood still, the screaming, the world's on fire.
We were well past the point of exhaustion, but we kept going and going because we're we need to get to a hospital. We need to get help for our baby boy. And I started feeling like I was having these contractions. We were shivering because it was so cold.
Did you know what was happening? Did you know you were having a miscarriage?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. The feeling was similar to the feelings of giving birth, and so I knew that couldn't be good. We just miss him, and we never got to see him be a big brother, and we never will now. And so, yeah, so there's a huge grief that we walk every day with, but we still have this desire to raise his little brothers and sisters.
In never-before-seen footage, they talk about what happened that night, their traumatic loss, but also their plans to try for another baby through surrogacy. That full story coming up on Tuesday, so make sure to join us right here on KREM 2.